Political party loyalty is just weakness in my eyes. It's okay. Today we're just going to do a little walk and talk because I just finished my workout. So I'm going to walk these dogs before I go to work. So I'm going to bring you guys with me so that I can make another yap video. Ruffle some more feathers, I guess. Today, I want to talk about blind loyalty and allegiance to one party and one party only. And let me just start off by saying that if your political party can do no wrong in your eyes, then you've already given up on thinking for yourself. All right. So I don't want to hear people like that calling anybody else a sheep. Okay. I myself personally am not loyal to any party in particular. I switch up my vote accordingly depending on what level of government I'm voting for, who the politician is that's representing the area that I'm eligible to vote for in. I remember when I first got into politics, and I kind of looked at all of the different parties, and I decided that NDP in my riding was who I wanted to vote for. Have I only voted for NDP ever since then? No, never. My only time ever voting for a Liberal member would have been for the latest federal election because I was not going to sit that one out and allow Pierre to take that election because he's not what Canada needs. We don't need somebody that has been a politician for 20 years and hasn't anything of substance or value to show from it. Trust me, I know there's party loyalists for every single political party out there. It's not just one party, but I do see it a lot more with conservatives. It's like that mindset of, oh, my father and my grandfather and my great grandfather were all conservatives, so I have to vote conservative regardless if I agree with the policies or even like the politician that's representing my area. I feel like that's just laziness on an intellectual level if you are unable to actually look into the policies that these politicians are putting forward and think for yourself and really, really make that decision for yourself. Not just, oh, this is how I've always voted. This is how my area votes. So I'm just going to, get in line like a good little sheep and cast my vote to fit in. And people will always, oh my God. Of course, I came out here when the sprinklers came on. And of course, I trapped myself in the corner when the sprinklers decided to come on. So we're going to change directions here. That almost got me. Remember, very clearly, that this past federal election, I was making TikTok videos and stuff talking about how I had planned to vote for the Liberal Party for the first time in my entire life. Mainly because in my riding, they were the only ones that were, comparable to the Conservative MP in my riding, right? Because for federal elections, you don't vote for that said prime minister, okay? So technically, I've never voted for Carney in my entire life. But I had a bunch of angry Albertans just getting upset with me because I will not conform to your conservative values. I will not just simply vote for a conservative just because I live in a conservative stronghold. That's not me. I'm not a conformist. I don't want to assimilate into that group think that a lot of people in Alberta unfortunately have. I actually wear it like a badge of honor that I stand out from the rest of them and I don't really fit in a lot of places here in Alberta. I feel like that is the true sign of strength. I think that it's a sign of weakness if you would rather fit in and not ruffle feathers or question anything, right? Just because that's the norm in your area. Political party loyalty is just weakness in my eyes. It's nothing, there's nothing alpha, even though there's no such thing as an alpha. There's nothing strong about that by just basically following the flock, right? Just crazy too, because a lot of people that are on more of the right side of the aisle seem to think that they are the strongest, most resilient, the most manly men that you have ever seen in your life. And everybody else is a soy boy. Everybody else is a snowflake, but they don't want to go against the grain. They don't want to think for themselves. You know what I mean? They don't want that independent thought, which is unfortunate, right? Because I don't know. I feel like you learn a lot more and you challenge yourself a lot more, and you can hopefully challenge the people around you and maybe open up their eyes to new ways of thinking. If you just go against the grain, don't fall into the norm. I have lived in Alberta for 11 years now, and I have not once ever been convinced that the conservative mindset and like policies and stuff like that were something that I would ever be able to get behind. And I've had multiple conservative friends, multiple conservative family members trying to convince me, like people trying to send me information to try and change my mind. And you will never change my mind, because I would prefer to think for myself. I would prefer to look into policies and not just take your word for it that this person would be so good because you said so. I've even been able to change the vote of some of these conservatives around me by simply just having discussions with them. One of the friends actually that did end up, voting against what their family usually votes for, their own mom was joking around about how if you ever vote NDP or Liberal again, then you're uninvited from all of the family dinners. Which, when I heard that, my friend was kind of laughing it off, but when I heard that, in my head, I'm like, so you're trying to indoctrinate your child into falling in line and voting for the same party that you've always voted for what? For why? Why would you want to force your child to like politically align with you? I feel like people that think that they need to indoctrinate their own children into agreeing with them politically, know deep down that party is probably not a good party. So it comes across as incredibly cult-like. You know what I mean? And that groupthink mentality is the reason why we get politicians like Trump, where he could literally do no wrong in their eyes. Absolutely nothing wrong. And that's pretty scary. That's pretty scary that people would allow any political figure to have that kind of power over them like that. Like, come on, buddy. Break free. There's a certain group of people here in Canada that are constantly complaining about the Prime Minister because they're very upset that the Liberals keep taking these elections. And it's because you guys don't have good enough conservative leaders to go up against a Liberal at the moment. Canada's progressive. I think a lot of people don't I think a lot of people seem to think that we're just like Americans. We're not. We're North Americans. Okay, we're progressive AF. I mean, could be better. Could be better. But I find that these same people that are constantly complaining about the Prime Minister get so upset with you if you critique their favorite politician. Like, for example, here in Alberta, I critique Danielle Smith on the daily because I think she's doing a genuinely shitty job. I do not think that she is a competent leader. I don't think she's a good leader whatsoever. And every single time I voice my opinions like that, I'm told I need to move by the same people that complain about Carney and Trudeau all the time. I'm like, well, if I'm not allowed to criticize a politician that you like, why are you criticizing the politicians that I like, but then you seem to think you get to stay in Canada? That's not making sense to me. But unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people have that self-awareness and ability to look inwards on how hypocritical they are in the way that they deal with politics. It's that I would prefer to see all these people that just hate the federal government and whatnot to be productive with their rage and anger and put it towards the politicians that are actively making our lives harder. A lot of the things that are affecting our day-to-day lives are on our provincial premiers. I would love to see a day where every single person can just get out of this groupthink mentality and we could all just wake up to the fact that it is quite literally all of us working class people against these politicians and fucking mega corporations that are paying these politicians. But I'm not sure if we will ever get to that point because there's a lot of people that are being willfully ignorant and genuinely don't want to accept any kind of facts that might hurt their ego, even in the slightest, because I know it's a big thing to feel wrong. But I think feeling wrong and getting things incorrect could be learning curves for a lot of people, but a lot of people just don't want to. They just don't want to. And that just goes hand in hand with my whole point of groupthink and being like loyal to a party is a sign of weakness. That's enough yapping for today. I should probably go and get myself ready for work. Toodles!